Do you have a great business idea that's been in the pipeline for years? Or a dream job that you've been dying to apply to? Or a cute someone that you want to ask out? But right when you step out, dear old friend fear stops you. The fear that you may not be good enough. What if this blows up in my face? What will my parents or friends think? What if I fail? Hi, I'm Avril and I love to fail. And I'm going to tell you exactly why you should love to fail too. You see, I spent most of my life avoiding failure. I did everything to keep myself from failing. That is until I had no choice but to face my fear of failures. And that changed my life. And I slowly learned to love to fail. You see, failure is not the monster we make it to be. And almost all of our best successes lie on the other side of this failure. And we've got to learn to tackle it in order to be successful. So today, I want to help you get over your fear of failure and achieve that dream. But before we can fight fear, let us understand this invisible monster. Who is fear and what is fear? Fear is just an evolutionary response that kept our ancestors from getting eaten by tigers. Back in the Stone Ages, fear is what kept our ancestors safe. It kept them alive. The movie Crippled beautifully depicts this, where this caveman is so afraid of the world beyond his little cave that through stories he drills into his family just one rule: never leave the cave.
Yes, and one day she saw something new and died.
I get it, Dad. I will never do anything new or different.
Good man, Thong.
Well, that is until he's forced to explore the world beyond his little cave and he overcomes his fears. It's a beautiful story, and if any one of you hasn't watched that movie, I highly recommend you to. You may have heard of the flight or fight response. Well, fear is what activates this flight or fight response. So when a caveman was faced with, say, a dangerous animal or a forest fire, it was fear that told him to either fight it or run away from it to protect himself. So fear is what kept the caveman alive. It helped humankind survive. So fear is basically telling you to stay away from something that is uncomfortable or possibly dangerous, or at least what the mind perceives as danger. See, fear stems from a very primitive part of our brain, which is called the amygdala. It basically tells you to stay away from anything that is dangerous or painful by activating a fear response. This is why when a child touches a hot pan and experiences pain, it will never touch one again, or at least be careful around something hot. This is because the amygdala has registered that hot pan as something that causes pain, and it will activate a fear response the next time the child comes in contact with anything hot. As an adult, the same amygdala sends you a fear response while giving that presentation in the boardroom, or while trying to ask that cute girl or guy out, while trying to share your ideas with the world, or while starting a new business or making an investment. It's trying to keep you safe from what it perceives as danger, discomfort, or pain. The pain of embarrassing yourself in front of people. The pain of feeling rejected. The pain of loneliness. The pain or discomfort of getting laughed at. The discomfort of a new territory. It's just trying to survive and stay safe. But if you've clicked on this video, you may be at a place where you've realized that this fear is not serving you well. And one of the greatest fears keeping us from achieving all that we want is the fear of failure. And the fear of failure may look something like this: cold feet on getting started on a business, constant procrastination, obsessing over every detail, delaying the project, hiding it under the garb of perfectionism, creating unrealistic goals and timelines and expecting them to fail so that you have an excuse of why it didn't work. Telling yourself, it's not a good time, I don't have what it takes. I will speak more extensively on these topics in another video. So if you identify with any of these actions, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you stay updated when the videos are up. Back to our video. So how or where did we learn to fear failure? For most of our generation, our school system has largely contributed to the way we see failure. Let me explain. So back when the Industrial Revolution started, nations were in need of large number of obedient factory workers who would do just one thing really well, follow the rule and are completely fail-safe. And well, what is the best way to produce large number of obedient factory workers? Train them young at school. The school system was designed to standardize everyone and create an obedient workforce that would fit well into a factory structure. It rewards compliance and punishes spontaneity. They created standardized tests, one test to test people of all talents and abilities. You take the test, you're either good, average, or a failure. You couldn't have a different answer. Your creativity and genius were never engaged or encouraged. All you got was either a pass or a fail, and a fail or anything even close to that was always regarded as something bad, shameful, and to be looked down upon. Our grades defined us as successes or failures. So for 15 years of our lives, the fear of failure was hardwired into our system with every test and every exam. This shaped the way you look at failure in your adult life. We now equate failure with being bad, shameful, and to be looked down upon. You were indoctrinated to be part of this system that teaches you to fear failure. And sadly, this fear holds us back from being our best selves and achieving our highest dreams. It holds us back from engaging our creativity and genius. And worst of all, this fear of failure stops us from even trying. It perceives the pain of trying and failing to far outweigh the joy of succeeding. It forbids us from even taking the first step in the direction of our dreams. Because why go through the pain? I was a product of this very system. I was trained to fear failure. I lived my whole life trying to avoid failure. This means that I never tried anything that had a chance of failing. But one day, everything changed. In 2015, I decided that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And the only way I could do that was to first get over my fear of failure. My dreams demanded me that I face my fear of failures head on. The pain of staying there far outweighed the pain of putting myself out there. Yet, I spent 2 years ruminating over my idea of a lifestyle store, procrastinating doing research, obsessing over every goddamn detail, telling myself I have so much to figure out before I launch, over and over delaying my launch. Then, in 2017, I came across this book called The Linchpin by Seth Godin, and it completely changed my perspective. That book was life-changing. And I highly recommend this book to any intrapreneur, entrepreneur, or even wanapreneur out there. This book helped me get over my procrastination and fear and taught me to just ship my idea. So I decided that I'm going to ship this idea in 2 months. And I did. I created a company, I produced products, I figured out logistics. Heck, I even built a beautiful website all by myself and all in 2 months. What I couldn't do in 2 years, I did in 2 months. I overcame my fears, I built a company, I produced products. I put myself out there. And you would expect a rosy story of how I made thousands and thousands of dollars. But guess what? I failed. I failed massively and publicly. Fell flat on my face. I signed up for an exhibition with the wrong trade show. And I basically didn't even sell a zip in 3 days. I had put so much money into this that I had none left to carry on. I lost my money and I failed. To say that this was a low phase would be an understatement. I finally did what I tried to avoid all my life. I failed. The days were followed with a lot of tears and no will to get out of bed. Shame, self-doubt, guilt. I had to explain to everybody I met how I failed. After a few days of groveling in bed, I finally came across something awesome that changed the way I saw failure. I came across this awesome entrepreneur called Sarah Blakely. You may have heard of the shapewear brand called Spanx. Well, Sarah is the founder and the inventor of Spanx and is also a self-made billionaire. So I was scrolling through the internet and I came across this interview of Sarah where she talks about how her father taught her to celebrate her fears. Yeah, exactly. Celebrate her fears? What? Why? Well, because it meant you tried something new. Every day at the dinner table, Sarah's father would ask her and her brother, "What did you fail at today?" And they would say something like, "Oh, I tried this cheerleading thing and I fell and I failed." And he would get so excited and high-five them, applaud them and cheer them on for trying something new, even if they didn't get it quite right. But if they didn't fail at anything, he would almost get disappointed with them, because that meant that they didn't try anything new that day. And that's when I realized that failure isn't the monster that people make it to be. Failure means that I tried something new. It means I set out to do something that I hadn't done before. It was an unknown adventure that I took on. I realized that I had to undo this wiring of equating failure with being a bad thing. I had to celebrate my fears instead of dreading it. I had to change my association with failure. I wanted to pat myself on the back for trying and putting myself out there. I wanted to retrain my mind from constantly fearing failure. So I decided to do something new. Every time someone asked me, "How is the business going?" As crazy and as weird as it felt, I put on a big smile on my face and said, "I failed, and I failed massively. But I'm so glad that I did, because I learned so much. I learned how to create and ship an idea, and now I'm on to my next business." Well, people sympathized with me, and my partner thought I shouldn't lead with that. But in that moment, I was trying to retrain my mind to associate failure with having gone on an exciting journey that didn't quite turn out the way I wanted. But my ship sailed and saw the world rather than staying and rotting in the harbor. Tribe, we have to throw out these years of indoctrination by our school and society and start seeing failure as a normal part of growing. We have to start seeing failure as having tried something new rather than seeing it as something shameful. If you're not failing, it means you're not trying. When a child starts walking for the first time and stumbles and falls, we don't count that as a failure. We don't decide, "Oh, no more walking for you. You fell, you failed. You might as well throw in the towel." We don't do that. We encourage the child to keep trying and cheer them on, because we know that stumbling is inherent to learning to walk. We don't see the child as a failure. We see it as a part of the process of learning and growing. The same way, we have to stop equating ourselves to our failures. Failure is just an event. It's not a characteristic. People can't be failures. You've got to understand that people do stupid things and fail all the time. It is inherent to our growth process. So stop focusing on your failures and start celebrating your new adventure and your process. This fear has killed more dreams than failure ever could. It keeps you stuck and it keeps you small. And when you decide that you're not going to try something because you fear that it will fail, well, you've already failed by not even trying in the first place. You've already guaranteed your failure when you decide that you're going to play it safe, stick to the status quo, color within the boxes. You've let doubt and fear win. You're letting it steal you of a successful tomorrow. You'll never know what's on the other side of this failure if you give up midway. You see, everyone feels fear. What defines you is what you do regardless of feeling this fear. Like my favorite coach Marie Forleo says, fear is not the enemy. Waiting to stop feeling afraid is. It is imperative that we get over this fear of failure, because great rewards lie on the other side of it. Don't let it rob you of the joy and success that awaits you. Okay, Avril, I get it. I need to get over my fear of failure. But how do I do it? How do I stop feeling afraid? What's the secret sauce? Don't worry. I'm going to share the secret recipe that helped me get over my fear of failures. These steps help me reshape my mindset towards failures and overcome my fear. So let's get into it. Number 1, define your fears. Often we do not know the monsters we are fighting. Undefined fears are like going after invisible monsters. You're not going to be able to shoot them. Imagine going to war and you don't even know who your enemy is or where they're going to strike. That's scary, right? You need to know your enemy in order to come up with a concrete strategic plan. That is why it is very important to define your fears, to understand what is it that you're actually afraid of. And more importantly, write them down. What is causing your fear? What are your thoughts like? When or in what situations are your fears triggered? How do you feel about it? As you see these fears on paper, the picture of this monster becomes more and more clear, and that makes it easy to come up with a plan to tackle this enemy. So, define your fears. I'm scared of putting my video out there because I'm afraid that people won't find what I say relevant, or they will troll me. I'm scared of starting my dream business because I'm afraid it will fail and I'll lose all my money. I'm afraid to give more to this relationship because I don't want to be hurt like I was in the past. I'm afraid to publish my book because I fear the success and the pressure to write another good book. I'm afraid to pursue this role because I'm scared I won't have any time for my family. Defining your fears will help you understand your fears. Understand why you feel it. What stories are attached to it? Are these fears based in actual facts or are they just unfounded? Defining your fears will help you dispel it. You'll start recognizing the patterns that trigger these fears, and understanding these triggers will help you make a plan to tackle it. Number 2, write down your worst case scenario. So write down the goal that you want to pursue and then write down all the worst case scenarios that might happen as a result of pursuing this goal. If this idea doesn't work, what's the worst that can happen? For example, if I do this business and I fail, I will lose all my money and I won't have enough to pay next month's rent. Or my parents or my partner will be disappointed with me. Just imagine all the worst case scenarios if you pursue your idea or plan. Now make a plan B for all these scenarios. How would you overcome these challenges? What would you do if your worst fears came to pass? Like if you fear that if you pursue this business and it fails and you can't pay next month's rent, then could you gather up some savings before you get started on this business? Or could you crash at a friend's or a parent's place? Is this something that you can do part-time to support yourself? Or could you downsize the way you live? Firstly, on doing this, you will get a good idea if this goal is worth the risk. Regardless of the challenges it entails, is it worth taking the risk? Is it worth facing these challenges? Secondly, as you come up with a plan B for all your worst case scenarios, you will see that the goal is achievable and even your worst case scenarios aren't as bad as they seem. Now you have a plan B to manage all these challenges. You've planned for the worst and you have something to fall back on. Number 3, write down your best case scenarios. After you've defined your darkest fears and written a recovery plan for it, it's now time to write down your best case scenarios. If you pursue this idea, what good would come out of it? What good things would happen as a result of succeeding at this goal? For example, if I did pursue this business, I would be changing lives with my creative gift. It's my calling and I would feel truly fulfilled. I would be able to build a profitable company and achieve financial freedom. I will be able to provide for me and my family. I will finally be able to travel the world. Imagine all the best things that could happen as a result of you pursuing this goal. If there were no barriers and you couldn't fail and you pursued this goal, what great things would come out of it? Where would you be? What would life look like? How would that make you feel? Would that give you more joy and peace? Would that mean massive growth or abundance of finance? Or feeling fulfilled in your relationships, satisfying your creativity, or perhaps just more freedom? Write down all the upsides that would come from moving ahead with this goal. Be as specific as possible. Think without barriers, the barriers of time, money, freedom. Think from a place of possibilities. After all, this is your best case scenario, not your mediocre case scenario. So dream big and wild about all the possibilities. Once you figure out your fears and written your best and your worst case scenarios, compare the two. You will not only know if this goal is worth the trouble, but you'll also realize that your worst case scenarios can be managed with a recovery plan, and that will give you the confidence to move ahead on this goal. Your best case scenarios will help you see what you will be missing out on if you don't even try. You can now see that the joy of pursuing this goal will far outweigh the pain of not. Number 4, and the most important, take action. Take massive action. The only way to get over fear is by taking action. So stop sitting around and waiting for fear to go away. Because I've got news for you. It won't. Do things scared. Ask any successful person and they will tell you that they felt fear while doing the very thing that made them successful. But they did it regardless. The only difference between a successful and an unsuccessful person is that the successful person took action on their dreams and never gave up. So again, do things scared. Put one foot in front of the other. And as you keep taking action, your fear will become quieter and the confidence in your plan will grow. Well, how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. So write down your goal and break them down into bite-sized pieces and get chewing. Do one thing and then the other thing and then the other thing, and soon you'll be devouring your elephant. Action is the only way to stop fear. So start now. Last and the most essential part, learn to love to fail. Start celebrating your failures. It's time you threw those years of indoctrination out of the window and start rewiring your brain. Start seeing failure as having tried something new, as the opportunity to do something new, to learn something new. Stop seeing it as a bad or shameful thing. Celebrate every time you win. Pat yourself on the back for trying. Make this your mantra. I never fail. I either win or I learn. Every time you fail, throw yourself a mini party. Celebrate yourself for being bold and taking on a new adventure. Celebrate the process and celebrate all the learnings that you got from this failure. Think about all the valuable lessons and understandings that came out of this failure, which you wouldn't have got otherwise. Train your mind to look at failure as a good thing, as something to be proud of, as something useful, as a metric that indicates your growth and momentum towards bold new things. You are not a failure. Failure is just an event, just a blip on the graph of your adventure. Begin to look at failure as a part of the process of this adventure and not the full stop. So again, love to fail. Learn to turn your failures as an opportunity to gain wisdom rather than a sore hurt. Think about what you could learn from this, what you could have done better, and make it your teacher. I hope this video has brought you value and these learnings help you as much as they've helped me. So let's start celebrating our failures here today. Share your failure story in the comments below and let us know what you learned from it and what would you like to celebrate about it. And we shall cheer and celebrate with you. So let's start rewiring today. Also, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comment box below. And lastly, if this video brought you any value, please like, share and subscribe to my channel and let me know what else would you like me to talk about. Thank you for your precious time and I'll see you soon. And may you always be greatly blessed, highly favored and deeply loved.